ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। भागवतम Canto 6 Chapter 2 Verse 1। श्रीबादरायणिर्उवाच एवं ते भगवद्दूता यमदूताभिभाषितम् उपधार्याथ तान् राजन् प्रत्याहुर्नयकोविदाः। Sukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king, the servants of Lord Vishnu are always very expert. Servants are always very expert in logic and arguments." After hearing the statements of the Yamudutas, they replied as follows. So servants of the Lord have to be very expert in logic and arguments. And these logic and arguments are not whimsical. And these logic and arguments are based on Shastra. So, and generally Prabhupada quotes this multiple places that when we are giving any, mostly we see people or devotees saying something which is more of a personal thought. I think, I feel like this. But that is not of much value because we are conditioned souls. And conditioned souls cannot have opinions or views that are true or that are real because it could be mixed with illusion because we have four defects, right? So we should always seek knowledge from Guru Sadhu Shastra. And that should be the basis for our thinking, for our logic, for our arguments, etc. Very, very important. So, otherwise, whimsical arguments, we can go nowhere, right? Like Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna was talking to Krishna like a friend and giving his own, logic arguments why he should not fight. But it didn't take him anywhere. So then finally he surrendered to hear what is actual knowledge. So whatever we speak should be, whatever our logic, our arguments, etc., everything should be based on Shastra. And so they are very expert. Devotees are very expert in logic and arguments. And those who are experts in logic and arguments are Uttamadhikari devotees. And then Madhyamadhikari is also to some extent, but not all the time. So there are three categories of devotees: Kanishtadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, Uttamadhikari. The Uttamadhikari is perfectly expert, perfect expert. He knows everything. He can argue, he can present logic, everything based on Shastra. Madhyama has full faith, but he is not such an expert as the Uttama Adhikari. And neophyte Kanishta Adhikari has no knowledge and very soft faith, Komala Shraddha. Shri Vishnu Duta Uchuhu Aho Kashtam Dharmadrisham Adharma Sprushate Sabham Yatra Dandyeshva Dando Dhriyate Vritha. Vishnudutta said, "Alas, how painful it is that irreligion is being introduced into an assembly where religion should be maintained." How kashtam is very painful. Dharma drisham, persons who are actually supposed to be maintaining religion, adharma sprushate sabham. So that adharma is coming in. Indeed, those in charge of maintaining the religious principles are needlessly punishing a sinless, unpunishable person. So Ajamila had become a sinless, unpunishable person. In spite of all the nonsense he has done, he is a sinless, unpunishable person. So Vishnu Dutas are saying now adharma has touched the assembly of authorities on dharma. Hmm. So those who are not to be punished are being punished. The Vishnu Dutas accused the Yamadutas of violating dharma by attempting to drag Ajamila to Yamaraja for punishment. Yamaraja is the officer appointed by the Supreme Lord to judge dharma and adharma and to punish people who are irreligious. However, if completely sinless people are punished, the entire assembly of Yamaraja is contaminated. This principle applies not only in the assembly of Yamaraja but throughout human society also. So yeah, one who is supposed to uphold dharma, if completely sinless people are punished, then it becomes adharma. So it is contaminated. Human society properly maintaining dharma is the study of the king's court of the government. Unfortunately, in this Yuga, Kali Yuga, the religious principles are tampered with, and the government cannot properly judge who is to be punished and who is not. Religious principles are tampered, um, they're modified to our liking. And so we cannot completely say that it's correct. Even if some so-called right judgment has been passed, we cannot say if it is correct or not, because it will all have a mundane view, mundane vision. But this dharma is dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam, whatever has been given by Krishna directly, which will not be mundane because it's coming from Krishna. So Prabhupada is saying the religious principles are tampered, tampered to suit our necessity, our the way we want it. It is said that in Kali Yuga, if one cannot spend money in court, one cannot get justice, which is true. Indeed, in courts of justice, it is often found that magistrates are bribed for favorable judgments. And we are seeing this even today. Sometimes religious men who preach the Krishna conscious movement for the benefit of the entire populace are arrested and harassed by the police and courts. The Vishnu Dutas, who are Vaishnavas, lamented for these very regrettable facts. Because of their spiritual compassion for all the fallen souls, Vaishnavas go to preach according to the standard method of all religious principles. But unfortunately, because of the influence of Kali Yuga, Vaishnavas who have dedicated their lives to preaching the glories of the Lord are sometimes harassed and punished by courts on false charges of disturbing the peace. This Prabhupada is saying from what he was experiencing at that time. His disciples were being arrested in different places. His movement was being, um, people were saying it is a brainwashing movement. So all kinds of false charges were being put on ISKCON. Even today, people think they don't have clear understanding of what ISKCON is. So they think, it's doing something wrong to the society. But ISKCON is actually trying to give the topmost benefit to the jivas. And these kind of, people are not understanding, especially those in power, like court, police, etc. They're not understanding the proper religious principles. They don't understand because the religious principles have been tampered with. Mm. So the Vishnu Dutas are very, very feeling pained because Adharma has entered the assembly of Dharma. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, we know you are servants of Yama, but why do you speak such nonsense? We can understand that the authority of this king of Dharma to be of opposite quality, meaning he is supposed to be upholding Dharma, but his authority seems to be upholding Adharma. Mm. Adharma is contaminating the assembly. Okay, so they are speaking very harshly, Vishnu Dutas. Prajanam pitaro ye cha shastara sadava samaha yadi syateshu vaishamyam kamyan yanti sharanam prajaha. A king or government official should be so well qualified that he acts as a father, maintainer, and a protector of the citizens because of affection and love. He should give the citizens good advice and instructions according to the standard scriptures and should be equal to everyone. Wall, father, maintainer, protector of citizens. Yamaraja does this for he is the supreme master of justice, and so do those who follow in his footsteps. However, if such persons become polluted, and exhibit partiality by punishing an innocent, blameless person, where will citizens go to take shelter for their maintenance and security? This is a question which has to be answered for even all of us who are in this so-called government in this material world. Because, yeah, law, order, everything is polluted and exhibit partiality. So where will citizens go? Citizens have to go to Krishna. That's all. Okay, so such people who are in power, they should have proper character. That's the important point here. Mm. The king, or in modern times, the government should act as a guardian of the citizens by teaching them the proper goal of life. Human form of life is especially meant for realization of oneself and one's relationship with the Supreme Lord, because this cannot be realized in human life. So this Prabhupada says multiple times, Kshatriya means uh, to give people direction about how human life can be perfected. Direction or facility. The Brahmana gives the direction and the Kshatriya gives the facility. And Kshatriya protects the citizens as a guardian against anybody who prevents them from doing their real duty of being a human being, which is to do bhakti. The duty of government, therefore, is to take charge of training all the citizens in such a way that by a gradual process they will be elevated to the spiritual platform and will realize the self and his relationship with God. This principle was followed by great kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira, Parikshit, Ramchandra, Ambarisha, Prahlad Maharaj. Leaders of the government must be very honest and religious, because otherwise all the affairs of the state will suffer. Unfortunately, in the name of democracy, rogues and thieves are electing other rogues and thieves to the most important posts in the government. Recently, this has been proven in America, where the president has to be condemned and dragged down from his post by the citizens. This is only one case, but there are many others. Because of the importance of the Krishna conscious movement, people should be Krishna conscious and should not vote for anyone who is not Krishna conscious. See, it's an instruction. Then there will be actual peace and prosperity in the state. When a Vaishnava sees mismanagement in the government, he feels great compassion in his heart and tries his best to purify the situation by spreading the Hare Krishna movement, not by going and getting involved in unnecessary things. So he will purify the situation by spreading Hare Krishna movement. So the pain that we feel by the mismanagement done by government should be compensated by our efforts to purify the situation by spreading Hare Krishna movement. And Prabhupada is saying, don't vote for anyone who is not Krishna conscious, because it's not going to help. It's like, during the time of King Vena. So his father Anga, so then he dies, then Vena has to be made the king. And then Vena is himself rogue and a thief. Then all the Rishi Munis are thinking, okay, if there is no king, there is a problem. Rogues and thieves will flourish. So someone has to be there. But if the king itself is a rogue and thief, okay, at least the other rogues and thieves might be afraid and restrain themselves. But such rogues and thieves who are elected, then they become real cause for misery for the citizens. So no point in voting such people into power. Only if there is a Krishna conscious person at the helm, then there will be actual peace and prosperity. So when it is not there, then a Vaishnava puts all efforts to purify situation by spreading the Hare Krishna movement. Okay, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, please listen. We have heard that your master is a protector. Why has this now become untrue? He doesn't look like he is being equal to all. So leader should be a father showing affection. He should be an instructor of laws in order to teach dharma. He should be proper in character to benefit all people. He should be equal, taking his own happiness and distress equally. The opposite is a protector who gives suffering to the people, who though a teacher does not teach dharma, who though of proper character does not act for everyone's benefit, and though equipoised is ignorant of others' suffering. See, look at this. I'm very, very amazing. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is very clearly, listing the qualities of a leader. And who are all leaders? Bhagavatam says father, mother, guru, and of course, who are in administrators in power, etc. And yeah, everybody who's given the responsibility of taking care of other group of people, it could be devotees, it could be non-devotees, etc. All of them are leaders. So how should a leader behave? Leader should be a father showing affection. So first, a leader should have affection towards his dependents. He should be proper in character. Okay, he should be an instructor of laws in order to teach dharma. So he should have the ability to teach. So he should show affection. He should teach. Then he should be proper in character to benefit all people. He himself should be equal, taking his own happiness and distress equally. Such amazing qualities. Hmm. And if we can go into depth of each of these qualities and to understand why it's so important. It's not the central focus, but so leader should show affection. First, there should be affection. Otherwise, it'll become like a tyrant, right? Who's just controlling everybody by his power. But it's all for his own selfishness. But no, leader should be like a father. He should show affection to his dependents. He should know what is right, what is wrong. So he should instruct them in right and wrong. He should himself be proper in character. And what does proper in character mean? He should try to benefit all. Proper in character. And he himself should take his happiness and distresses equally. Because, if the leader itself cannot take his happiness and distress equally, what will he teach his dependents? And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying the opposite is a protector who gives suffering to people. Meaning, he does not affectionate. He is not teaching dharma. Uh, he is not working for everyone's benefit. Mm, and he might be equipoised, but he's ignorant of other suffering. And he might not be equipoised also. So all these are qualities of a person who is not an ideal leader and he cannot give proper protection. Very, very nice verse. And this is a disaster for the public and intolerable for us. So this is a disaster for public, such leaders. What kind of leaders who don't have affection for their dependents, who don't know themselves dharma, so cannot teach others dharma, who may be proper in character but not really working for the benefit of all, or they might also not be proper in character and hence not working for the benefit of all, and they are themselves not equal in towards their own happiness and distress, or they're equal towards their happiness and distress, but they're callous towards others' suffering. All these four qualities are qualities of a disastrous leader, bad leader. So Vishnu Dutas are saying, so Yamaraja is supposed to be a good leader, but looks like he's being a bad leader because whatever the Yamadutas are doing, Yamaraja. So what Yamaraja should be a good leader, but he's being a bad leader. Why? Because the Yamadutas are upholding a dharma, and when the servants are upholding a dharma, then the master is responsible for it. Unlike in today's world, where dependents do something and the leaders just uh, they don't take responsibility of it. They blame the dependents for their wrongdoing. But no, ideal leader has to take responsibility for whatever his dependents do. So Vishnu Dutas are indirectly blaming Yamaraja for not being ideal. Verse 4. Yadyad acharati shreyan itarastattad ihate sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanu vartate. So it is similar verse in Bhagavad Gita. The mass of people follow the example of a leader in society and imitate his behavior. Yadyad acharati shreshtas tattad deveta rojanaha. Again, the last two words are, while lines are the same. Sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanu vartate. They accept as evidence whatever the leader accepts. Although Ajamila was not punishable, we have not come to this yet, but Prabhupada is saying he was not punishable. The Yamadutas were insisting on taking him away to Yamaraja for punishment. This was adharma. Vishnu Dutas feared that if such adharma was allowed, the management of human society would be spoiled. In modern times, Krishna consciousness movement is trying to introduce right principles of management for human society, but unfortunately, Governments of Kali Yuga do not properly support the Hare Krishna movement because they do not appreciate its valuable service. The Hare Krishna movement is the right movement for ameliorating the fallen condition of human society, and therefore governments and public leaders should support this movement. Mm. Yeah. So the whole point is that the path of adharma will become prominent. That was their concern. So they're saying if the leader himself becomes adharmic, then everybody will follow his behavior and the whole society will become adharmic. So this is not good. यस्यांके शिर आधाय लोकस्वपिति निर्वृतः स्वयं धर्मम् अधर्मं वा न हि वेद यथा पशुः स कथं न्यर्पितात्मानं कृतमैत्रम् अचेतनं विस्रम्भणीयो भूतानां सघृणो दोग्धुमर्हति. People in general are not very advanced in knowledge by which to discriminate between dharma and adharma. The innocent, unenlightened citizen is like an ignorant animal sleeping in peace with its head on the lap of its master, faithfully believing in the master's protection. If a leader is actually kind hearted and deserves to be the object of a living entity's faith, how can he punish or kill a foolish person who has fully surrendered in good faith and friendship? So, if a leader, if citizens, innocent citizens are dependent on the leaders, so if the leader is actually kind hearted and deserves to be the object of somebody's faith, how can he punish or kill a foolish person? Ajamila was foolish, but was fully surrendered. The Sanskrit word Vishwastaghata refers to one who breaks faith or causes a breach of trust. So in Kannada also there's a word Vishwasaghata. The mass of people should always feel security because of the government's protection. Therefore, how regrettable it is for the government itself to cause a breach of trust and put the citizens in difficulty for political reasons. We actually saw during the partition days in India that all the Hindus and Muslims were living together peacefully. Manipulation by politicians suddenly aroused feelings of hatred, and thus Hindus and Muslims killed one another over politics. This is a sign of Kali Yuga. In this age, animals are kept nicely sheltered, completely confident that their masters will protect them. But unfortunately, as soon as the animals are fat, they are immediately sent for slaughter. Such cruelty is condemned by Vaishnavas like the Vishnu Dutas. Indeed, the hellish conditions already described await the sinful men responsible for such suffering. One who betrays the confidence of a living entity who takes shelter of him in good faith, whether that living being be a human being or an animal, is extremely sinful. So those who are cutting off animals' throats, killing them, is extremely sinful because it's a betrayal. The animal comes to them thinking that person will protect them. Because such betrayals now go unpunished by the government, all of human society is terribly contaminated. The people of this age are therefore described as Manda, Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya, Upadrutaha. As a consequence of such sinfulness, men are condemned. Their intelligence is unclear, they're unfortunate, and they're always disturbed by many problems. So what is the result for this? Sinfulness. Is the cause of sinfulness that Kali Yuga is what it is. Men are condemned, intelligence, Manda, they are Manda Bhagya, unfortunate, and they're always disturbed by problems. This is their situation in life, and after that, they are punished in hellish conditions. And the reason for all this is the sinful life of people. Uh, Directly, Prabhupada is talking about increase in meat eating. Direct, of course, then there are so many other sinful activities, Ugra Karma being done, factories, etc. So all that is increasing the amount of sinfulness. And so there is suffering. अयं हि कृतनिर्वेशो जन्मकोट्यं हसाम् अपि यद्व्याजहारः विवशो नाम स्वस्त्ययनं हरेः. Ajamila is already atoned. Now they are talking about Ajamila's situation. Okay. Ajamila is already atoned for all his sinful actions. Indeed, he has not he has atoned not only for sins performed in one life, but for those performed in millions of lives. He is atoned. For, why, how did he do that? For, in a helpless condition, he chanted the holy name of Narayana. Even though he did not chant purely, he chanted without offense, and therefore he is now pure and eligible for liberation. Hmm. So, Yamadutas described in so many verses the sinful situation of Ajamila, how he has committed so many sins, etc. In one verse, Vishnu Dutas just uh, clarify the whole situation, saying that he's already atoned for sinful actions, not just done in one life, but in millions of lives. Why? Because he in a helpless condition. Vivashaha, he is chanted Vivashaha, Vyajahara, Vivashaha Nama, Swastyayanam, Harehe. Whose Nama? Harehe Nama, which is a means of liberation, Swastyayanam. So, in a helpless condition, Prabhupada is giving little more understanding here, saying that he chanted in a helpless condition, but he did not chant purely, but he chanted without offense. Because in a helpless condition, normally we don't, helpless condition, we call out to somebody, our intent is not to offend that person or disrespect that person, because we are calling out helplessly for help. So we will do it with full respect. But it's not pure chanting. So we'll talk about this in this chapter. A lot of things about chanting will be there. But he chanted without offense. Therefore, he is pure. So one who chants without offense is pure and is eligible for liberation. And chanting without offense is not very difficult. It's difficult, but not difficult. Chanting purely is more difficult. So in chanting the holy names of the Lord, there are 3 stages. First is called Nama Aparadha, which is chanting with offense. Second is Nama Bhasa, which is chanting without offense. Third is Shuddha Nama, which is chanting purely. So Ajamila, because he was in a helpless condition, he chanted without offense, meaning he came to the stage of Nama Bhasa. And when a devotee chants in the platform of Nama Bhasa, he is pure and becomes eligible for liberation. Okay. The Yamadutas had considered only the external situation of Ajamila. Since he was extremely sinful throughout his life, they thought he should be taken to Yamaraja and did not know that he had become pure from reactions of all sins. Prabhupada is saying they did not know. The Vishnu Dutas therefore instructed that because he had chanted the 4 syllables of the name Narayana at the time of his death, he was freed from all sinful reactions because he had chanted helplessly without offenses. So we'll read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Yeah, so I'll read all this from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, because Prabhupada is anyway referring to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary here. You castigate us, but what offenses have we and our master committed in taking away Ajamila to purify him, since he has performed no atonements for over 1,000 great sins? So this is what the Yamadutas are saying, indirectly saying that, why are you scolding us? What wrong have we done? Ajamila has committed thousands of sins, great sins, and he has not done any atonement. So what is wrong in us taking him to our master for punishment? So as an answer, the Vishnu Dutas are saying, no, absolutely he has done atonement, not only for sins committed in this life, because you are talking about this life's sinful actions he has done, but he is not atoned just for sinful actions done in this life, but for millions of lives. Why? Because he has chanted the name of the Lord, even though it was done unconsciously. Unconsciously, meaning in a helpless condition. Or it could be unconsciously also, meaning just not even being aware, just as a matter of practice, calling out unconsciously, no consciousness, no clear, there's no thought behind it, or no consciousness behind that chanting. So the Smritis say, Namno hi yavati shakti papa nirharane harehe tavat kartum na shaknoti patakam pataki naraha. A sinful man cannot commit as many sins as can be destroyed by the power of the Lord's name. Okay, so caution. If any of you here who are doing Shravanam don't have full faith in the Lord's name, you should not hear what is being spoken, because you might offend and it will actually negatively affect your bhakti. So if you have full faith in the Lord's name, now you are hearing some glories about Krishna's holy name now. Okay. These glories of Krishna's holy name should be heard and discussed only amongst devotees who have faith, full faith in the holy name. So it will give you more enthusiasm to chant. You will understand how powerful Krishna's holy name is, because we know how powerful Krishna is, but we don't know how powerful Krishna's holy name is. And so these verses now and the commentaries will help us understand the glories of Krishna's holy name. Again, I'm cautioning, if you don't have full faith in Krishna's holy name, then this is not advisable for you to hear this, because it will question your faith. But those who already have faith in the holy name, their faith will become more solidified. So I'm putting out a word of caution. Okay. So here Vishnu Purana is saying a sinful man cannot commit as many sins as can be destroyed by the power of the Lord's name. The Lord's name is so powerful that if one chants the Lord's name, of course, without offenses, then he cannot commit as many sins as can be destroyed. Meaning, if we just chant the holy name offenselessly, it can destroy more sins than what we have committed. Okay, if somebody is not able to understand this, you can please ask me. Okay, I'll try my best to explain. So we've already committed so many sins, in our existence in this material world. We've taken different bodies, we've committed so many millions of sins, not only in this life, in previous life, in all our previous lives. Okay. And if we are left uncorrected, then we will continue to commit more sins in future, this life, future, and also in future lives. But the name of the Supreme Lord is so powerful that it can destroy not only all the sins that have already been accumulated, it can destroy sins which are not yet committed also. Can be destroyed. So which means a sinful man actually cannot commit so many sins, because the Lord's name will destroy everything. Vishnu Purana. Another sloka from Vishnu Purana. A human is freed from all sins when he chants the Lord's holy name even unconsciously. Is freed from all sins. Even when he chants the Lord's name even unconsciously. Avashenapi, avasha, like helpless, unconsciously. The sins flee like animals frightened of a lion. Actually, even Bhagavatam says, what is that verse? Avasho, Nama, where is that? Anybody is aware?
Sorry, Prabhu, what is that?
There's one verse in Bhagavatam also which talks about how the glories of the name, chanting holy name in the first canto.
Oh.
Yeah. Apanna samsritim ghoram yannamo vivasho granan tata sadyo vimuccheta yad bhibeti swayam bhavan. So it says swayam bhayam. So apanna samsritim ghoram, those who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death, samsritim meaning this material world, yannama vivasha granan, even unconsciously, vivashaha, he chants the holy name. Sadhya vimuccheta. Sadhya means immediately. Vimuccheta becomes free. Yan nama, by which name, yat bhibeti swayam bhayam. Even fears the holy name of the Lord. Fear personified also fears. Everybody is afraid of the holy name of the Lord. Holy name is so powerful. Yan nama vivasho granan. So unconsciously, meaning even without any intention or without any feeling, without any consciousness, just out of practice, Now we can understand why Prabhupada asked us to chant all the time. Even just out of practice, if when we are in difficulty, when we are in pain, which is gone, what is the experience at the time of death? If one can somehow simply the holy name comes out of the mouth of a jiva. If he has not chanted purely with love, at least he will become liberated. Hmm. Whoever, Skanda Purana says, whoever chants the two syllables Hari only once is fit for attaining liberation. Only once. Please understand, this is chanting only once offenselessly, not again and again and again. Only once offenselessly. But after that, there should not be offense. Okay? If we chant the holy name even once offenselessly, he is fit for attaining liberation. But after that, he should not commit offenses. But the sins can be destroyed. All the sins can be destroyed. So I'll stop here because next verses are all very, very deep. So each and every verse will take time for us to understand. So here, just the whole point here is that why he is chanted the name helplessly in unconscious state, in a helpless condition. So which means he's eligible for liberation because that is chanting without offense, even though he had not chanted purely because he chanted without offense in a helpless condition. He is now pure and is eligible for liberation. So how can you take him to Yamaloka to punish him? That is what it is. Okay. Any questions? Just on whatever we've discussed.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah. Yes, Maestro. Hare Krishna.
See, there is a echo. I do not know why.
Yeah, Mataji, if she's sitting nearby, then it'll echo with her phone. Yeah, Prabhu.
Yeah, am I audible now, Prabhu?
Yes. Yes, you are.
Okay. Here, the focus is more on ensuring that we chant the name of Hari at the time of death. And in the normal circumstances, it seems to be very difficult because, especially during the old age, there will be so much of suffering, pain, and other things.
Yeah.
Uh, so in those circumstances, how do people ensure that, in spite of the pain, in spite of the suffering, the person can keep his focus towards Harinama Kirtana or Harinama chanting?
Yeah. Okay. So anybody has any thoughts? Anybody wants to try answering?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'll just try. I don't know.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, if we have that Dehatmaka Buddhi means, I am this body and not the soul, then we'll be very pained.
Okay. 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 Anything else? Yeah, Shashank Prabhu.
Prabhuji, by
Yeah, Suchira Mataji, go ahead.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
By practice, if we have the practice during
Mm.
lifetime, then it will be easier at death.
Okay.
Like in Bhagavad Gita, also we are instructed. Like Krishna first says, I think in the 7th chapter, like you should think of me at the time of death, and then he tells how will it happen. It will happen when you have practiced it throughout the life.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Shashank Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. That is where sadhana actually comes into the picture. So death is like exam, or even at the time of death, the practice if we do continuously from now. So even in an unconscious situation or in a situation where we are in coma, like Krishna will help us even though we don't have energy to chant his name. So this sadhana will come into picture, Prabhu.
Okay.
There.
Yeah. So yeah, Soumya Mataji is also saying at the time of death, even if we are not able to chant properly, Krishna will save because we have done it all our life. Okay. So, so two things we need to understand, right? Our life is a practice session, right? It's like when people play cricket, right? They go for net practice. Why are they doing net practice? Because they're preparing for a final match, right? So this life right now, all the years, days, months that we are here in this body, after having come into Krishna consciousness, our whole life is a net practice, right? And this net practice, the idea of this net practice is to practice something that we should try and do at the time of final exam, which is called death. So that net practice is actually constant chanting of the holy names of Krishna. What is required for us to do for that, for us to be able to perform well in the time of final exam, is constant chanting of holy names of Krishna. Now, obviously, the question Mahesh Prabhu is asking is also very specific. He is also referring to the lot of pain that one undergoes at the time of death. Now, while devotees are giving little theoretical answers, so I want to make it a little bit more practical to understand what it means. See, today, whenever we have Krishna gives us, starts training us. This is like a training, okay? So Krishna, Guru, Acharyas, they train us by giving us tests which are very small compared to the final exam. So generally, all of us, whenever we have any problems, we have the tendency to take somebody's name. For example, mostly, at least before I came into Krishna consciousness, I used to always call out for my mother. When I have pain, I used to call Amma. Right, and it is a natural practice that most people do. Most people call out somebody's name, right? Or you can, some people say Ayo Rama, right? So in India, because we are so fortunate, even unconsciously we are taking Rama. Or say, suppose somebody is not in the habit of that, and they just call out Amma, Appa, whatever, right? Now, the whole point there is, when we are in pain, we are calling out those people's names because we feel somewhat protected under them, or we feel some comfort, by taking their name. So we have to change this practice. Instead of calling Amma, Appa, or whoever, we have to change this practice to call out Krishna. So that is why Krishna says that happiness or distress, we should always think about him. And happiness may be easy, may be difficult, but distress, we should, because we are helpless. So we should feel helpless when we are in difficulties, and we should just call out to Krishna for Krishna, just out of pain. I have pain, I have a lot of headache. Krishna, I have pain. It is just a matter of just calling out Krishna, like habit. Make it a habit, right? That because Krishna is anyway the ultimate, we can only depend on him. And his name is the most, beneficial for us. If we take his name, it will be most beneficial for us. Right? Even if you don't look at it in a calculative way, we are just simply children dependent on Krishna, so we just call out Krishna's name. And this has to be practiced, and we have to see the result. Meaning, in every difficult situation, instead of running here and there, we just try to do whatever we need to do, and we just call out Krishna's name helplessly. Krishna, I have this difficult situation. I'm leaving this to you. And especially many times in life, we will be faced with situations which are above our heads, meaning we are underwater, we are drowning. What can we do? Simply call out Krishna's name and express that helplessness. Krishna, I am helpless in this situation. I don't know. I'm just leaving it to you. And the more the pain, the more the practice, the better will be the result. So maybe, for those who are actually having some difficulties in life, it becomes very easy because they keep calling out helplessly to Krishna all the time. And death will just be one more exam, but it's actually the death exam is little bit like normally tests are, say, of certain difficulty. Final exam will be maybe 5 times, 10 times difficulty. But our tests in our life and our final exam actually is, the difficulty is much higher. It's like 100x, 1000x difficulty final exam. So what we also have to do during our tests is also develop that detachment as we go through Krishna consciousness, connected with this body and coming to a real understanding, saying that, see, I'm not this body at all. Why am I getting so worked up? Right? So both of these things have to be done. One is calling out calling out to Krishna helplessly, and also building the thought process, the awareness that I am not this body, and this body is going to end today or tomorrow. And like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Matara Sparshastha Kaunteya, it's all just I'm feeling the pain because of that sense perception. I've discussed this before, right? Like body is dead, soul is completely transcendental. So who is experiencing pain? It's just our attachment to the body because of which we are experiencing pain. And as we go through life, as we go through difficult situations in life, we have to become sama dukkha sukham dhiram. We have to learn to become tolerant, to become equipoised in our misery and distress. And that for doing that also, we have to take shelter of Krishna's name. So those who chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra on a regular basis, chanting 16 rounds a day, should also start practicing calling out Krishna's name during their whole day, wherever there are situations of happiness or distress. And this practice is important. That's why our Shastra says actually continuously, Kirtaniya Sadaharihi. And when we are able to do that, then that is one possibility of us actually being able to remember Krishna's name at the time of death. But like, we don't know how exactly we are going to leave this body. If it's a natural death, maybe there are high chances. Uh, so, for example, like I've told before, my father's leaving his body. He was in a hospital, but then my Guru Maharaj told that take him home. So we got him home, and he was so fortunate that even though he was possibly, we don't know what was his state of mind, because he was just for almost more than 12 hours, he was just, and this happens to most people who go through natural death process, that they just, they no activities. Their body is just lying there, breathing, but no activities. And we were not sure what he was going through, but we all just sat around and loudly chanted Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And sometimes we could see him responding through some one finger movement, something that he is actually able to hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that is the second thing that might happen to sincere devotees, that actually Krishna arranges for other devotees to come and remind us again at the time of death. And because we have practiced it all our life, we know that, okay, I'm in the most difficult of my life situation, but Krishna is there with me. So we will feel relieved, we will feel, protected under Krishna's protection, and we will just, we will relax, our mind can relax. And that is the reason we say when our mind is more disturbed, we should chant Hare Krishna more. Because this is the practice, right? So in death, the difficulty will be more. So we should take more shelter of Krishna's name. So first thing is our practice during our life can help us remember Krishna's name. Second, even if we don't remember, somehow Krishna we can create a situation where Krishna will send other devotees to help us remember. Third, if both these are not possible, we are in such a situation, because we have committedly, dedicatedly tried to serve Krishna sincerely throughout our life. If actually there is no iota of material attachment in our hearts, and we have no desire to come back to this material world for any form of material enjoyment, and we are ready to go to the Krishna Loka to serve Krishna or to wherever he sends us, Krishna will himself intervene and give that remembrance. So there are all these three ways by which actually a devotee is a devotee who sincerely practices chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra throughout his life will be saved. So we have to understand that is why vivashaha, we will be helpless. We don't even know what, I mean, we might not even, yeah, like Shashank Prabhu was saying, we might be in coma, right? So forget about, I mean, bodily activities are all gone, but the mind is active. And that is the reason why we have to train the mind. Even in coma, it's not that the mind is gone. Mind is there, but body is not functional. So we have to train ourselves to be always thinking about Krishna as much as possible. And like I said, it's not about our efforts only that is going to result in this end goal, right? It is our efforts and majorly Krishna's mercy. And Krishna will not withhold his mercy, towards sincere devotees. That okay, Mahesh Prabhu?
Yeah, okay, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Anybody?
Thanks, Prabhu.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavad
Yeah.
Pranam.
Pranam, Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, I mean, I just wanted to bring up this controversial question. I mean, we don't need to address it right away, but maybe at the end of this topic we can discuss. But this is what I've been hearing since my childhood, right? I mean, basically, the story of Ajamila. Uh, they say that, okay, how can a person so sinful, so committed so many sins throughout the life, and at the end, if you just remember the Lord, so and he gets liberated. I mean, this is something I keep hearing again and again in multiple classes. I just want to bring up this question so that I want to hear from you, so that we all have the right way to respond.
I
When
mean,
someone questions this.
yeah, so it's not that somebody without uh, faith, without practice, cannot just simply remember Lord's name at the time of death. It just cannot happen. So if somebody just says, okay, he did his, so one has to understand Ajamila's life completely before speaking those words. Ajamila was not a purely sinful person. In the initial part of his life, he was Pakka Brahmana, and he was also helping in devotion, etc. So, Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So, he has done devotion in his life. Second, in the middle part of his life, or the major part of his life, he was sinful. But the
Right,
last
right.
part of his life, he became more pious than any pious person. And if that people are not able to understand, then they will not understand, appreciate Ajamila's path.
Yeah, I mean, see, what they elevate to Prabhu is saying that, okay, yeah, you just live life like like whatever you want, and just
Yeah.
wait until before you die, and then just chant Krishna,
No,
Hare
no, he
Krishna
didn't
at
die.
that point of time.
He didn't chant
So
before he died. So this is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, so we'll
yeah,
explain this further, right?
yeah,
So
I mean that's what
see,
people
from
come
the
up with an
time,
argument, argument
from the
perspective. That's what they question and they challenge and all that.
no,
So
but
that's why
they
I'm just
don't
bringing it up.
understand. They don't understand the incident that has happened. The
Correct,
incident that has
correct.
happened
Yes.
is that because of the bhakti he had done in his young age, he
Yes,
got the mercy of the Lord to name his last son as Narayana.
correct, Prabhu. Yes.
And that was the thing that triggered. So, for example, you can tell somebody saying that, see, fine, you are okay, you lived sinfully till 80 years of your life. Can you change you become a devotee at the age of 80? Okay, provided you have 5 more years. First question you ask them is, how do you know when you're going to die? Right?
Yeah,
Ajamila,
exactly. Yes.
Ajamila actually, for sufficient time, he took Narayana's name in the fag end of his
Mhm.
life because his child was born, and he with it could have been 6 months, 1 year, that has not been given exactly what was the age of the child, but he had spent sufficient one, at least you can say some 6 months, 1 year, maybe,
Right.
because his child was
Mhm.
not a toddler, like he was playing with toys and all that, right? So it could possibly be 2 years, maybe, right? 2 3 years at least, child playing with toys himself would not
Right,
be
Prabhu.
before that, right? So you can use logic here and say at least for 2 3 years he's called out Narayana's name continuously. And we'll
Mhm.
discuss this in Bhakti, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport. We'll discuss this, right? So he's taken Narayana's name for sufficient time, offenselessly, right? So you can tell, saying that, okay, if you get the fortune of taking the name of the Lord for 2 3 years of your life before death, yes, you can also go.
Yeah, I mean, one more thing. I mean, the way, yes, I do mention this, but one thing I also reply back saying that, okay, hey, it's not that he is immediately taken back to Vaikunta. He's just given another opportunity
No,
to
no, no. But that
basically.
is
Is
okay.
it
But
not
that is
like
okay.
he lived another for some more years, Prabhu? Because he is not immediately taken to Vaikunta, right?
No, no. But
He's
that's
just
not
given
that's
another
not
chance
important.
to.
But that's
Yeah.
not important, Vinod Prabhu. See,
Okay,
the
Prabhu.
important thing is that Vishnu Dutas came. Vishnu Dutas
Yes.
wouldn't have come if he had not been able to take Narayana's name helplessly. He wouldn't have been able to take Narayana's name helplessly if he had not named his son Narayana and had
Mm-hmm.
not been calling him for 2 3 years continuously, got into the practice of calling Narayana, Narayana, Narayana every time.
Yes, yes.
So there is cause and effect here, right? Not just suddenly one day, moment of his death, as soon as he saw Yamadutas, this person who had not taken the name of Narayana all his life suddenly called out Narayana. No, that was not the thing. He was calling Narayana for the last 2-3 years, and he continued to call that Narayana his son only, right? So anyway, so we will discuss a lot more here. The important thing
Sure,
here
Prabhu.
is for taking Narayana's name for sustained period of time and developing an attachment to the name so that you call out that name. So
Yes.
we'll talk
So
about this.
eventually, so I mean, are we saying that eventually, while he was calling out his son Narayana, Narayana, I mean, eventually was he intentionally now remembering? I mean, not now in the sense like was then remembering the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead
That
himself,
happened.
or
That also happened, but that is
Yeah.
also not required. That also happened for
Okay.
Ajamila because
Mhm.
Ajamila was in younger years, he was a devotee.
Okay.
So he knew who Narayana was. He had
Yes.
respect for Narayana. He had served Narayana.
Mhm.
So suddenly, at one moment, suddenly he called out Narayana and remembered, oh, my Lord Narayana. He just remembered. Remembrance happened. But the
Okay.
important thing about Nama is that the Nama itself is not different from the Lord. Whether you know or not, the word
Yes.
Haram, liberates those who take that name.
Okay.
That's why I said this Nama is the glories of Nama can really bewilder us. So, okay, let's hold on to our horses. So
Okay.
there's a lot more.
No, I know.
that,
I know there's
needs
a
to
lot more
be
to
understood
discuss,
because I
but
don't
I
want to
just
jump
wanted to.
guns because
Sure,
then,
Prabhu.
many of them are hearing for the first time. It shouldn't create opposite effect,
Yes.
right? It shouldn't
Yes, Prabhu.
create.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to
uh,
address it now. Maybe at the end
so
of
it's
this
fine.
topic.
So just for to take away is that he didn't just like wake up one moment and just suddenly started chanting Narayana. So there was some pre-contact, whatever, some prelude to that, right? Some
Right.
situation where he started taking name Narayana 2-3 years possibly before his end came. That's the important point to note right now. Okay.
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay. Anything else? We're already 9:20.
Prabhuji, one second I'll take. Can we get the purports you were reading, like Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport?
You can buy his Sharartha Darshini, Vishwanath
Okay.
Chakravarti Thakur's whole Bhagavatam. His own is Bhanu Swami Maharaj has translated. It's called Sarartha Darshini. It's available on Amazon. You can buy.
Okay. Could you please share the screenshot of the book so that we know?
Okay.
And Prabhuji, are we qualified to read those like?
Qualified? Yeah. So who can read? So one who has read Prabhupada's purports 4-5 times Bhagavatam can read this.
Then though we are not, because it's not yet.
Yeah. Then you can wait. Because
Okay.
what will happen is then a lot of confusion will get created. So,
Yes,
better
Prabhuji.
not. If you're not completely well versed with Prabhupada's purports, better not read.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhu Bhavacha, Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo Ananta Koti Vaishnavim ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Pranam to everybody. I'm disconnecting.